You can see when someone looks rich. You can see the house, the car, the clothes, the holidays, but you cannot see whether they're actually wealthy. You can't see the debt, the investments, or how dependent that lifestyle is on the next paycheck. Or whether they could stop working tomorrow and still be completely fine. What we can see is the spending. What we usually can't see is the financial position underneath it. Unfortunately, nobody displays their balance sheet in the front window, and confusing those two things is one of the easiest ways to feel like you're falling behind, when you may actually be doing far better than you realise. So let's draw a clear line between looking rich and genuinely being wealthy. There isn't one official definition that separates rich from wealthy, but for this conversation, I think there's a useful distinction. Looking rich is visible. It's having enough income or borrowing capacity to support an expensive lifestyle. The house, the car, the holidays, the things people around you can actually see. Wealth is something different. Wealth is the financial position underneath the lifestyle. It's the assets, the income streams, the manageable commitments, and the ability to make genuine choices about your own time. Since starting my own advice practice in 2019, one thing I've noticed again and again is that people who feel most financially secure aren't necessarily the ones with the biggest houses or the newest cars. They're generally the people whose money gives them choices. They can reduce their hours, retire when they're ready, handle unexpected expenses, help their family if they choose, or simply say no to something they no longer want to do. That is wealth. Not just having more things, but having more control. And this is a slightly strange part. Real wealth is usually invisible. The more freedom it creates, the less it may need to prove anything. You can see what someone buys. You cannot see what they decided not to buy. You can see the renovated house. You cannot see the investment account they choose to build instead. You can see the new car. You cannot see whether it was paid for in cash, financed over 7 years, or purchased without affecting the rest of their plan. The person with the biggest house on the street might be genuinely wealthy, or they might have the least flexibility of anyone living there. And the person in the modest house with an older car might have no debt, substantial super, investments outside super, and complete control over when they stop working. From the footpath, you simply cannot tell the difference. A driveway is a fairly poor financial statement. Visible spending tells you almost nothing about the financial position underneath it. This becomes especially important as you approach retirement. While you're working, a high income can create a high level of spending, but once employment income stops, the question changes. It is no longer just, how much can I afford while I'm earning? It becomes, how much freedom have I actually built once the income from work disappears? Someone can earn an excellent income and still arrive at retirement with very little flexibility. A large mortgage, expensive commitments, a lifestyle that requires almost all of the income coming in. Another person may have earned less, but gradually built super investments, cash reserves, and a lifestyle that doesn't cost them everything they earn. They may not have looked as rich during the accumulation years, but they may enter retirement in a much wealthier position. That is why comparing your visible lifestyle with someone else's can be so misleading. You're comparing what they have chosen to spend, not the choices their financial position will eventually give them. Rather than asking whether you look as successful as the people around you, I think there are 3 better questions. First, if my employment income stopped, how long could my current lifestyle continue? Second, does my money give me genuine choices, or does it mainly support commitments I now have to keep funding? Third, am I gradually building more independence or simply increasing my spending each time my income rises? Those questions won't give you the one perfect wealth score, but they tell you far more than comparing houses, cars, or holidays ever will. Because wealth isn't really about winning a competition that nobody officially entered. It's about increasing the distance between what you have to do and what you choose to do. So the next time you catch yourself comparing your position with someone else's visible lifestyle, remember that you're only seeing the outside of their financial life. You're not seeing the depth, the assets, the pressure, the freedom, or the choices available underneath it. Looking rich can be obvious, being wealthy usually isn't. And as retirement approaches, it's the invisible part, the assets, the flexibility, and the independence that will matter far more than how the lifestyle looked from the outside. This is general in nature, so it's important to consider your own circumstances, because what wealth and independence look like will be different for everyone. If you'd like help understanding where you genuinely stand and whether your money is supporting the retirement you want, I work with Australians approaching retirement in exactly this position. You can find the details below. Once you stop measuring wealth by what other people can see, the next question becomes much more useful. What is your money actually meant to do for you? Because building a large balance isn't the final goal. The goal is using it to create the life and independence you actually value. That's what I work through in this video.